Good day, guys. Austin here, and in this one today, we're playing Dragon Ball Z Extreme BOTUDEN. Excuse my pronunciation, I am terrible at this kind of stuff, but I make the token effort, so there you go. Anyway, we're playing this using the Citra Bleeding Edge emulator. So it's a Citra build, it's the official one, it's Bleeding Edge, and I've got it configured exactly, and I mean exactly as I did with the, what's it called? The guide that I did the other day. So links in the description down below if you want to get this kind of performance from your version of the emulator. It's not nothing custom, it's nothing hacked or anything like that. It's completely stock with just hitting the experience. Changed a few settings and we got it running absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, let's get stuck into this one and see how it's performing. Right. First off then, Dragon Ball Z. This one is a, how can you say, a 2D based game. So it takes a lot of 2D based assets in terms of what's it going on in terms of the new game. I'm going to this. I've not played this for years. God even knows what that save game is. Yeah, it's very 2D, which means that a lot of the textures and a lot of the assets, from what I remember, will be rendered quite low. So although we have got this pumped up in terms of resolution, because there's not much stuff 3D going on, especially the characters, from what I remember, we won't get a lot of heightened visuals from this game. But in terms of performance and playing it like it was, let's see. Okay, so I'm thinking, from what I remember, the environment was 3D, but the actual guys fighting, they will be 2D. So I'm not really fussed about the actual storyline, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. I know what it's going to be like. I know that this will work. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the frames per second. It's running at 60, and it should be running at 60. That's how it's been emulated. And also, game speed in the bottom right-hand corner is 100%. So as long as we get 60, we should get 100% game speed. Should be no issues there. I'll go through my configuration in just a second. But for now, let's get into the actual game. Skip dialogue. Let's get through all this. Skip, skip, skip. Okay, so now we're getting into the game from what I remember. Let's roll. So yeah, there we go. Performance-wise, oh Jesus wept. I'm terrible at this. I've not played it for literally years. Yes. Right, so in the background, as you can see, we have got what can you say? Well, 3D rendering. So the background looks better than the actual characters. That's because that's been upscaled, or at least it's been brought to us natively in a different resolution, i.e. higher than what the original was. In terms of the actual characters, because that's running from 2D textures, that means that they are running very pixelated because we've got no texture filtering enabled on this whatsoever. So we are seeing those in the resolution of what they were intended to back at the time. Now, if you was to play this on, obviously, a 3DS screen, i.e. something that's like, what, 1-2 inches big, then they would look pretty high definition because those pixels would be shrunken down and it wouldn't look too bad. Skip through all this. Come on. Skip, skip, skip. Into the next fight. So we'll get into the next fight and then I'll talk through the configurations of what I've got enabled here. Again, it's all in my complete guide, but I'll show you what I've got enabled for this version of the game. I'm controlling this, by the way, using my Xbox One S pad. No issues whatsoever at all. Running it natively. We haven't used any third-party apps or anything like that. It should be good to go. There we go. We got a four-wayer here. So again, look at the background. Look how detailed and clean that is. When you put that into consideration of the players that we got on the screen, it's night and day. But in terms of performance, this is beautiful. God, I've not played this in ages. I do like it though. Okay, so before I beat this guy's ass, let's talk about the actual, I'm going to say, configuration. So, let's pause it a second. Okay, in terms of the graphics then. In fact, we won't pause it. In terms of the graphics, move this out the way. I'll show you what's going on. Currently, I'm running this at 960p, which is my normal rendering size. If I bring this down to 240p, the actual characters won't change much at all, but the background will, because that's being rendered in a 3D environment, so the textures aren't as important on there. So bring this down to 240, click OK. Now watch the background and watch the people. Should be no change hardly in these, but a big change in the environment. Boom, there you go. If anything, it has actually helped the 2D guys, because now it's showing it more blurry. So, to be honest, I would say one of the rare occasions on this emulator, if you're going to play this game, I would turn it down to 240p. It seems to help it, especially on a larger screen. Of course, unless you've got a build of an emulator, which is utilizing some kind of texture filtering or enhancements going along that way. Jesus, I'm clearing the floor as well. Yes, get out of it. Easy. Too easy, some may say. So let's have a look at some of the other configurations that I got going on here. Right. In terms of the graphics then, like I said, one of the rare occasions we're probably better off running this at a lower resolution. It blurs off some of the harsher pixels that's going on. Even in the menu screen now, you can see, yes, I know the resolution is nothing compared to what I want it to be, but softening those pixels makes it look less harsh to the eyes. It's all down to personal preference at the end of the day. In terms of the settings then, let's go back. Everything's set to stock, to be honest. Ensure that you've got CPU JIT enabled. This is what gives you the speed. Personal details in here makes no difference or impact on the game. Input wise, I've got my controller set up. Like I said, it's configured from the configuration files itself, so in here it will not work. But again, my guide will go through all this and get you guys set up to 100% across the board, including those little Pokemon fixes. Graphics then, like we just talked about, bring this down. You can switch it to whatever screen you want, and you'll have all kinds of setups going on. Makes no difference. Again, it's all kinds of personal preference of what you guys want to run it as. I myself like large screen because I like to see the action, but I also like to be able to utilize the secondary screen. Configuration wise, again, on the end, audio, completely never mess around with anything on this. Keep everything to auto. Enable audio stretching. If your game is running close to the game speed that it was intended to be running at, this kind of ticking will make the audio sound a lot better. If your game's running slow, no matter what game it is, ticking it, unticking it will make no difference whatsoever. It'll still sound like a mess. Debug, never touch. Okay then guys, I think we have more or less nailed it on the head for that one. We can see that Dragon Ball Z is running pretty much to 100% on this one. In terms of visuals, it's one of the rare occasions where we'll turn down the resolution. But in terms of being able to play the game, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So it's been a pleasure as always. As always, also put in the comments down below if you'd like me to test any other games, any other emulators, or if you got any requests in general for games or emulators or videos in the future. But please like, please subscribe, please do everything in this world where we play Dragon Ball Z to its full potential. But most of all, you have a good day. Laters!
Hey!